day 9 of our By Faith 20-day online devotional. I just always continue to encourage you to stay with this devotional here. I promise you it will be worth the investment of time. But today I want to go ahead and get started. We are looking at Genesis chapter 16, verses 5 through 16. Now previously we had looked at Sarah and Abram, and they are still without a child. And so we find Sarah kind of manipulating the situation and really coming up with a solution to the problem. Instead of building an altar or having a sacrifice and just going to God in prayer, they came up with a solution. Sarah came up with hey, Abram, I've got a maidservant, Hagar, and she can bear a child. So go ahead and give her a seed, and that so she can bear a child for us. And how many know that you can't get in the way of what God's trying to do? And sometimes the consequences of sin have us falling into relationships that actually have us suffering, if you will. And it can get pretty ugly pretty fast. You know, we can find finger pointing, backbiting, blame, war with our hearts. Hagar can't stand it any longer in this situation. She flees to the wilderness. And I share in this book a story of my own where I was married at a very young age, 20 years old, and I was in an abusive marriage that was for 10 months, if you will. And I haven't really talked about it, but it is in the story here. And it's written in a place where it's very dear to my heart. And at the same time, I found myself attending counseling, hearing our pastor say, look, if you touch her again, if you hurt her again, she has every right to leave. And as we went to counseling and I felt like I was at a comfortable place where I could trust him again, that trust was taken from me, if you will. And so I asked this question: how bad does the situation have to be for us to risk dying in the wilderness rather than staying under a roof of sin? See, here Hagar was young, pregnant, and alone. No one noticing that she was gone, but God did. God saw her. He saw me, and He sees you, and He notices you. Look, the Lord hears your cry. He heard Hagar's cry in the wilderness. And the difference between her story and my story is pride. Hagar was proud. See, she got very haughty with Sarah. She became very defensive, very look at me, I can do what you can't kind of attitude. Sarah wasn't going to have it. Sarah takes her and says, Abram, you're going to have to do something with her. So she's banished to the wilderness. And the first thing they should have done was to build that altar, worship God, and tell them their problems, tell them their situation. You know, God, I don't know, when is this going to happen? When are we going to be able to bear a child? You promised us all this land. You promised us generations. Does that promise die with us? So questioning began to surface. They should have confessed their sins, marking the first steps towards reconciliation with others and getting right with God. Those are the answers, getting right with God. Hagar did return and submit herself to Sarah. Look, we never solve life's problems by running away. We don't. That problem will always be there unless we confront the problem. Submit to God and trust Him to work things out for your good and His glory. All things work for good for those who love Him and are called according to what? His purpose. He did it for me and He can do it for you. So your morning motivation is this. Getting rid of offense is like cleaning our heart to make room for God. How many of us need to get rid of offense so that we can make room for God to work in us? Forgiveness is easy when we recognize our own forgiveness. Take a moment and just thank Him for the power of forgiveness. Ask Him to make room in your heart by releasing forgiveness inside your heart. Your afternoon inspiration, abide in Him today. Abide in me and I will abide in you. When offense wants to creep in, tell it that you are not giving it any room today. So this afternoon, abide in Him, giving no room to offense. And your evening encouragement is this. I want you to take a moment and highlight James chapter 3, verses 16 through 18. And when you read and highlight that, think about what you are now building your life on as you begin to make peace within yourself and others. And then I want you to journal that tonight as a reminder to yourself as what you are letting go. Journal that tonight. God, I am letting go of offense. I am letting go of my past. I am letting go of what a parent or a child or whatever that is. I am letting go of that hurt. And I'm casting it on you because you say, if I cast all your cares on me because you care for me. So that's what I want you to do today. Man, I'm getting excited again. We're on day 9. We're getting halfway there. And I promise you, stick with this. Hagar, Sarah, Abram, we're just barely at the finish point when we get to see a man's name changed into something great. So continue on this journey with us, and we'll see you tomorrow.